Caitlin, hit the music. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. My best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing on this Tuesday morning as Caitlin's coming hot and heavy already with the graphics?
Yeah, you said it right. It's in the morning. We usually record this show in the afternoons, but due to budgetary constraints and timing, mostly the timing, not the budgetary constraints, we decided to record it. It's actually still morning here in the East Coast, which means it's early morning over there on the West Coast. So I always like to say, lovely to hear your voice saying the intro to this show in the morning. But Ray, it also brings us to our non-sponsor of the day, Kodiak, or as I like to call them, Kodiak cakes. For those of you who don't know, we always say part of a balanced breakfast. I think this might be the only balanced breakfast out there. Let's be honest about cereals, which we love. It's not balanced. It's dessert, right? It's in the name. Frosted Flakes, Frosted Mini Wheats, Cookie Crisp. It's dessert. But Kodiak cakes put a lot of protein in their food, and they do a lot of things. Oatmeal, pancakes, waffles. They make mixes. They make them you can buy. This is a balanced breakfast, and that's why Kodiak Cakes is our non-sponsor of the day. A complete breakfast, a complete show. Kodiak Cakes, come on board and be the sponsor of the show, not the non-sponsor, the sponsor, because the Geeks Who Like Sports have over 40 years combined broadcasting experience, and we have lots of friends out there that really enjoy what we're doing. Kodiak Cakes, right there. You can check them out. Kodiak. Thank you for being.
You mentioned their pancake mix. I actually use Kodiak pancake mix when I have the time. I am actually
really good.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really
like
good.
you said. It is packed with protein and it's
20%. This mix right here for oatmeal, 20% of your daily protein. Sugar's only 18%, which is actually low.
It's very low compared to a lot of others. Yeah,
right. But it's gonna fill you up. Like that's the thing for me for breakfast. I want to be filled up without having to eat a lot of food. Right. Yeah. Like that's actually one of the reasons Frosted Mini Wheats is such a great cereal, because you don't have to eat a ton of it to feel full. Right. But the Kodiak stuff, you feel like you had a meal and you can still operate. Yeah, it's better for you. You can still operate. It doesn't feel like, if you went on a roller coaster, you're going to lose it. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
And if you're wondering who goes on roller coasters this early in the morning, we do, but we're not in the theme park right now. But you're about to go for a ride with the Geeks Who Like Sports on this extremely short episode. This is actually going to be like a roller coaster ride, Ray, because there's not a lot of news this week. Now, we found some stuff we're going to talk about. It's still going to be a good episode. But most of the stuff, Ray, as we talked about, is actually happening next week. And if I'm going to say it because it's my fault, I am not available next week. So there won't be a show next week. But we will be outside of our own spoiler rules zone. So the following week, we were going to have a massive spoiler cast for Ghostbusters, X-Men, the MLB season starting, the NHL playoffs, spoiling all of them.
Yes.
For you at home.
Yes. No, I was going to say, speaking of theme parks and roller coasters, you're going to be off on vacation next week. So we are taking a vacation as a show for a week. But if you are still interested in at least hearing at least me blab, I'm going to be restarting my Twitch stream.
Oh, that's huge news. That's breaking news right here. I didn't know that.
It is it's MLB The Show season.
I was just going to say, I was thinking about that the other day. Is Ray coming back?
Yeah, we're going to try to I'm going to try to do it again. I'm going to see how it goes. Because I think a lot of folks, who follow me on there knew I kind of needed a break from that. I kind of stopped right about the first week of December. But we'll see how it feels. So yeah, going to try to come back for MLB The Show 24. In fact, actually, it's downloading on my Xbox right now because it just joined Game Pass, the best value in games. MLB The Show, the fact that it drops day one on Game Pass is a huge, huge deal, which is also, by the way, it's a huge game this year. 96 gigabytes.
Wow,
so
that is
start
big.
Start those downloads early.
Gigs?
Yeah.
Man, we got to talk about that just real quick, because I remember when a gig was a big deal.
Yes. Now games are starting to get to 100 gigs.
I mean, that's when you have to download and delete.
Yeah, no, honestly, seriously.
I mean?
Like, you have to, it takes up almost a quarter of my hard drive.
Right. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, no, I think it's mostly the Derek Jeter storyline this year. That just for his ego and for his accomplishments. And I'm joking, of course. Obviously, I'm a huge Yankee fan. Love Derek Jeter, but
He deserves
it is a 30 gig increase from last year to
that
this
is
year,
just massive. But I'll say this too, to be fair to the show, like the fields are flawless.
yeah,
The show, I think, more than any other game, can be mistaken for real baseball.
yes,
In fact, I have seen clips sometimes that I really have to double take. Like,
yep,
and the only way I'll be really blunt. Sometimes the only way I know it's not real is because we get like the batter's eye view, with
yes,
the screen.
right,
Sometimes you see these guys running the base. I saw one the other day of Otani on the Dodgers, kind of like gallivanting around the bases.
yeah,
And it looked so real. Like, and I'm looking at this like this can't be real. And it's like, of course it's not real. And then, but they've done a good job. I mean, that might be the most technologically advanced sports game in terms of the way things look,
yes,
right?
absolutely. No, I think the show is, I think, far and away out of the four major sports now,
Yeah,
probably the best of the sports games. I think in terms of the value it provides and the technology, and I think because because look, I'll say this: NBA 2K also looks great,
it does. Yeah,
but they try to nickel and dime you on with the
right.
online stuff way more than MLB The Show does. Not to say, because again, look, every sports game has their Madden Ultimate Team or Diamond Dynasty and MLB The Show.
Sure,
Every
sure.
sports game tries to get that, the microtransactions, but NBA like really
Yeah,
leans
yeah.
into it more than the
It's been
others.
a little bit of a problem. And then,
Yes.
the NHL series hasn't been great for a long time now.
They're really
Yeah.
resting on their laurels. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's a small
it's a shame.
market. Like, to be fair, it's
Sure.
a small market. They're getting the same people every year.
Yeah.
When that game was game of the year, it was because the technology to make it work was so advanced.
Yeah.
But they haven't, in my opinion, done anything in years that has been innovative.
Yeah.
But the show is on another level. Madden, the same kind of thing as NHL. It's been years.
EA is
Yeah,
really just kind of in cruise control, but I'm curious to see what they do with college football this
I am
summer.
too. I am too. I think that could reinvigorate a big fan base. But yeah, hey, look, I'm glad you're coming back on Twitch, Ray. I know you're. For those of you who don't watch Ray, I mean, he is the master of play-by-play and play-by-play and play. PBPAP.
Pabap?
That's you, man. Own it.
I am the Pabap.
I am the ultimate pabap. Yeah, say it with like a Pokemon. Pabap. Yeah, no, you're the pabap.
Utani?
Tutty.
There you go. So yeah, no, it's great. It's gonna be. I'm really looking forward to seeing, like all the stadiums again, of course, in the show, and how they digitized everything. We're still a couple years away from them adding a whole new stadium with the Vegas Athletics, but that should be
They'll
fun.
do it now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they might already be working on all the concept art. They can probably start building.
It's funny. I was in NHL Sense Arena yesterday in the VR headset, and they just added Plymouth Arena in Michigan, and I was in Plymouth Arena in Michigan. And some of these arenas are nuts. I still got to do a video out at MetLife Stadium, and they have some other. They have one at Lake Tahoe, so I'm gonna just do a video of just look at the places. The problem is when you show a 2D video of a 3D world, you can't get the immersiveness.
Yeah.
But when you're in there, it's amazing. I was doing a drill yesterday, Ray, where I had to deflect the puck.
Mm-hmm.
And at first they were coming and I was doing it on my stick. And then one the Ghostbusters, one went through my chest. and I hope I got it on video because I moved out of, like, you know what I mean? Like, I moved out of the way.
Yeah.
It's amazing what your brain does to process 3D, but that shows you how real it is that I reacted to a puck coming at my chest.
Yeah.
It slimed me, Ray.
Yeah.
Right. We'll talk about Ghostbusters in a bit. We got some.
Yeah.
We do have some sports news this week, though.
Yes. Yeah. No. Speaking of stadiums and whatnot, we'll kick things off with this story out of Kansas City. The Chiefs, of course, the defending Super Bowl champion, back-to-back Super Bowl champion, and they are Lamar Hunt and the Hunt family are basically talking about. They are looking to make $800 million worth of renovations to their stadium in Kansas City, and understandably so. Look, you got to get with the times, and I think especially after the 4-degree game from last year against the Dolphins, where many of their fans now are having to amputate their fingers because of frostbite.
Yeah, that's scary. It's scary and also a what were you thinking kind of thing.
Yes, to the people who were shirtless in the stands.
Yeah.
sorry, stupid is as stupid does, I guess. But this is kind of F around and find out. Don't mess with Mother Nature. But yeah, so basically, they're gonna build like a partial roof, like more of like a canopy over the upper levels, and they're also gonna obviously upgrade the suites and the field and all this other stuff. $800 million, and the
Ooh.
Hunt family, that is worth $25 billion,
With a B.
says they're only going to cover 300 of the 800 million, and they want the taxpayers of Kansas City to cover the other $500 million. Obviously, there is some blowback from this. A lot of locals are not particularly happy, but it does sound like that they may not be happy, but that they will have to comply. It would be an increase of the Jackson County, which is where they play, the county tax, the sales tax, by about 0.375%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but does quickly add up when you're at the grocery store, or if you're making a massive purchase, say you have to buy a new car or something. Like suddenly that tax turns into hundreds and hundreds of dollars suddenly added to your.
I'm going to take it even deeper than this.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got homeless people on the streets and you've got impoverished people that are looking for their next meal,
yeah,
and you're prioritizing a stadium over that, I've got a problem with that.
Yes.
Now, with that said, kind of devil's advocate, there's absolutely benefit to having a professional sports stadium in your town from a business and economical standpoint, which should never be overlooked.
Yeah.
Right. If your businesses are doing good, that increases the economy. If the economy increases, there's more jobs. If there's more jobs, you have less people on the street. Okay. So I do know that, but no sports executive has ever brought that to the table as being realistic. And not to mention, we're talking about renovations here, right? Not a new stadium.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, Ray, Kansas City is selling out every football game right now.
Yes.
So it's not, you maybe increase the seats, but probably not significantly.
Yeah.
So I have just never understood how we are able to send billions of dollars overseas and put billions of dollars or millions or hundreds into stadiums when there are people so impoverished out there they can't find their next meal. And that's probably where that money should be going. I understand it is way more complicated than that.
Yeah.
All right. But this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And it's nothing to do with the Chiefs, the football team or organization. It's just, what the hell, guys? Like, we got to take care of ourselves here a bit more. Otherwise, this gluttonous kind of stuff is going to keep going on.
Well, and again, I said Lamar Hunt before. Obviously, I meant Clark Hunt. His father, of course, was Lamar Hunt, the founder of the Chiefs. Clark Hunt, who is now the son, who now runs the Chiefs. And he threatened that the Chiefs would leave Kansas City. And it's an empty threat because the Chiefs would never leave Kansas City, and Kansas City would never let the Chiefs leave.
The owners would never let the Chiefs leave. There's no way.
Yeah, no, especially not right now when you're at the peak, like you said, Lee, the peak of your popularity. You won three of the last 5 Super Bowls.
There was a time they weren't so good, Ray, and I remember it.
Yeah, no, it's very, very true. And also, to be fair, some of the tax will also go to the Royals, who will get a whole brand new stadium to keep them as well in Kansas City. But this is an organized effort by billionaires trying to squeeze the little guy with a tax increase.
That's exactly what it is. And it's nothing new. This has happened many times before, and they usually win. But look, I always have mixed feelings about telling a billionaire how to spend their money. There's a lot of mixed feelings about should there be billionaires. I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion on that.
Yeah.
I just wish it wasn't so gray when it comes to, because here's the thing. The other reason why billionaires don't like to spend their money is because they don't trust the government either.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and again, like people, they should be giving their money away. Well, yeah, like, listen, I don't disagree with that. The problem is, if I had $1 billion and the government wanted $100 million, where's that going? Because I think my attitude would be, I can spend it better than you.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. We talk about this as middle-aged men now. We talk about
get off the lawn.
Yes, yeah. We talk about the taxes all the time. California, of course, where I live, has the highest tax rates in the country.
You're the worst.
And I understand it. Like, look, I'm not opposed to taxes. I'm opposed to taxes being wasted.
Yeah,
right.
And that's what happens most of the time, right?
Yes.
And honestly, my friends, to be the middle-aged old man, until we have term limits in Congress, it's not going to change.
Nope.
That's the solution. That really is the solution to all the problems.
Yep. Definitely a lot of them. But a lot of teams are trying to solve their problems right now in the NFL with free agency.
Which it's a great way to solve your problems on the field.
Absolutely. A lot of teams making a lot of moves. Tyron Smith, the former Pro Bowl left tackle for the Cowboys, signed a contract with the Jets. It's a 1-year deal, desperately trying to protect Aaron Rodgers' blind side for next season.
Yeah, well, you guys got to watch out for the Jets next year. If people can stay healthy, they don't look like as much of a pushover. And I think more importantly, Ray, is they have a reason now.
Yes.
Which can be very dangerous for other teams. And it's not like that division is what it was.
No,
right?
The Patriots are in full on rebuild.
Right. Yeah, Miami and the Bills are kind of the go-to teams, but the Jets could really be there. I mean, they could really be there next season. So as much as we make fun of the Jets, I don't think I'm going to do that this year. I think that they're a legit team right now.
Here's the thing, as much as I hate Aaron Rodgers and the ridiculous garbage he spews off the field,
he can throw a football.
He can throw a football.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that we've learned is that anything can happen any given season. I believe that, again, Patriots are in full on rebuild. I believe, at least so far in free agency, both the Bills and Miami Dolphins have gotten worse.
Right.
They've lost a lot more than they've added, whereas the Jets have worked to rebuild their offensive line and have, for the most part, maintained a lot of their other pieces.
Right.
So if Rodgers is able to stay healthy behind a new offensive line, and the rest of the Jets can stay healthy, like you said, Lee, they could definitely be a little bit more threatening than they were last year with the carousel of quarterbacks. After
this
Rodgers
is my
went down.
prediction for the Jets. Early prediction is that they will pace with Miami, edge them out, but not be able to beat the Bills, and then the Bills will become what Patriots were for Kansas City. They're going to have to get past the Bills to do anything serious. But I would not be surprised if the Jets come in second in their division this season.
Yeah, and that might be good enough for a playoff spot. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Jets. Yeah, I don't think they'll win the division, but they could threaten for a wild card.
That's what I just said.
I'm just summing it up. I was just summing it up.
You agree with me? You agree with me? Okay, digital high five. Ready? And
boom.
There we go.
All right, great. Speaking of the Cowboys, also, this is actually sad. Sorry, Leighton Vander Esch, their linebacker, after 6 seasons, had to retire. The poor guy, he just basically said he's like, the mind is willing, but the body is not. Just tons of injuries. So the Cowboys in our division, Lee, everybody else got better, except the Cowboys got worse, in my opinion, and that puts a smile on our face.
Well, to be fair, in the NFC East, the Eagles look very good, but suddenly very untested. With Jason Kelce not being there, several other players not being there. We brought in some great players.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for the season, but there's now a little bit more of a sense of unknown. Last year was a Super Bowl or bust year for the Eagles. They busted. But now it's very much an unknown of like, okay, let's see how these guys pull it together. Because we got arguably a better team on paper than we did last season.
Sure.
But if it doesn't gel, it doesn't gel.
Yeah, and it's gonna be interesting to see again if Sirianni is the guy also to bring that together, because
their division to lose. I think that's still fair to say. It's the Eagles' division to lose.
I think that is fair to say, and I think that it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, because Washington's gonna take a quarterback. The Giants I have no idea what's going on with our situation right now. I think again we need a quarterback, but we owe Daniel Jones at least his salary for this year. It's going to be really interesting to see how this division shakes out and how things go. Because I think a lot of the other 3 teams in the division besides the Cowboys, everybody got better on paper. The Giants still have a quarterback problem. I have no idea if we're going to fix this in the draft. The Eagles obviously are set at quarterback. Cowboys are set at quarterback too. Washington traded their quarterback to Seattle, who will be the backup now to Geno Smith. And so you have to figure Washington's going to take a quarterback with, I believe, the 2 pick.
It's going to be an interesting few months here.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a very interesting for the NFL. And speaking of quarterbacks, the reason why the Giants still have a quarterback issue is because they let two guys that probably could have started immediately and at least been a better bridge than Daniel Jones. They both went to Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson signs a $1 million deal as basically veteran contract.
Just a steal
for the Steelers. And then the Steelers send, listen to this, a 6th round pick to the Bears. Now, obviously, there's conditions that the more playing time he has, it could go up to a 4th round pick.
Still,
but the Steelers basically stole Justin Fields from Chicago.
Yep.
You now have two, in my opinion, two very talented quarterbacks. One again at the tail end of his career. One still. I still think that Fields, if he gets in the right system and he actually gets some weapons and protection around him, he was thrown to the wolves in Chicago. And now, of course, Chicago is actually building the team properly, and now they got rid of Justin Fields. Which, by the way, only cementing that they're going to go Caleb Williams number 1. Like, that was going to the question, right? Would the Bears stay at number 1? Would they keep Justin Fields? Now that Fields is gone, the Bears are not trading that pick, and the Bears are taking Caleb Williams. It is clear as day now. That is what they are doing. That is what is happening. But why on earth did the Giants not call the Bears and offer them a similar situation? How does Pittsburgh pull that off? I mean, look, I get it. Pittsburgh's very, very good. Pittsburgh's GM knows what he's doing. Why couldn't we get Justin Fields instead of Daniel Dumpster Fire Jones?
Well, Ray, I don't have an answer for that.
And neither do I. Nobody does. But it really feels like, look, I get it. Shane and Dable inherited the Daniel Jones situation. They tried to make the best of it. And it is obvious that it is not working out. We talked about it, I think, a couple weeks ago. It's buyer's remorse, because they gave him an extension because he got a playoff win, and they shouldn't have given him that extension, which I said when the extension happened.
You did say that.
The dude's played 6 good games in his career. You either A, do not give him a 4-year deal, you give him a short-term deal, or B, you don't give him that much money if you're going to give him 4 years. The Giants screwed up on both of those fronts. And now, for better or worse, so that you don't have $60 million in dead cap space, you have to live with Daniel Jones this year. Even if he just rides the bench, he has to. In fact, actually, it would be better, because if Daniel Jones gets hurt this year, there's a protection clause in his contract that he'll get paid next year too. So you morons now have to have him on the bench so that he doesn't get hurt to trigger that, and you owe him more money. Guaranteed money.
I didn't know we were going to get a Ray rant today. This is awesome.
I didn't know either, but I'm mad.
I'm mad as hell.
And I don't want to take it anymore as a Giants fan, but we have to.
That was one of the best prompts I've ever given, Ray. And it was worth every cent of it.
Yes. So anyway, so free agency. Really interesting all around.
Yeah, the end. Just one note for me is just that Pittsburgh, I think they're making very smart decisions right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, Pittsburgh stole Patrick Queen, the linebacker from Baltimore. They gave him a free agent deal. The Steelers, they won 10 games last year with Mason Rudolph and Kenny Britt as their quarterbacks. Like, Pittsburgh could very quickly, the AFC North, it's the first time in almost 100 years that every team in the division was 500 or better. Right? The Bengals only didn't make the playoffs just because there were other teams that were 9-8. Right. It's kind of crazy how good that division is. And the Bengals are going to get better because Joe Burrow is going to be healthy next year.
It's true.
That is a stat. I'm going to say this right now. Sorry, Cleveland. Cleveland's going to end up in the Bay. If Burrow stays healthy again, Cleveland will be in last place in that division, and they still might win 8 or 9 games, but they'll be in last place because Baltimore's still good, Pittsburgh got much better, and Cincinnati, just by getting healthy, got better. So, football. But yeah, as Lee mentioned earlier, we're going to have a lot of hockey, basketball, and baseball when he comes back from the vacation. And we have ourselves we'll have a big show.
Have yourself A happy little geek show with
Yes.
some sports as well.
Yes. So yeah,
Wrong-
I'm just
wrong
doing a quick.
season.
I'm doing a
Wrong
quick
season.
look. Oh, Joe Flacco signed a 1-year deal with the Indianapolis Colts. How about that one?
Yeah, it's mercy.
Dude was retired and then came back, led Cleveland to the playoffs. They got spanked in the playoffs, but he led them to the playoffs. And now he'll be the backup to Anthony Richardson because we mentioned it last week. Gardner Minshew went to the Raiders.
Yep, the Minshew dynasty and old man in Indy.
Yep.
Next time on the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, but Richardson's the guy there. Richardson's the guy. It's just a matter that's an insurance policy and a veteran to kind of mentor Richardson.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's a mentorship role for $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. $8 million. Yeah,
$8 million.
Just
I can mentor for $8 million.
Yep. Look, folks. I will mentor for half that. I will mentor for $4 million.
I will mentor for $800,000. That's a tenth of that. Yeah.
Oh goodness. Yeah, but that's about it. The Chargers lost a lot of folks in free agency. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do there with Jim Harbaugh coming back, as they're desperately trying to figure out how to build a team around Justin Herbert. And that's really kind of it. Those are really the biggest stories I think.
Hot stove.
Not quite. Yeah, kind of hot. Hot stove's more baseball, but yeah, I guess it's
what the is hot leather stove.
There you go. Yeah, well, leather stove.
Yeah, it smells bad. Let's move on.
That's not good. Not good. But yeah, do you know what the leather stove is cooking?
Do you know what it's cooking? Ha! Yeah. Let's talk about Dwayne Johnson's most masterful thing I've ever seen done in wrestling. It's just Ray. I'm gonna prompt you a little bit here. It's just pretty unprecedented that a veteran wrestler is coming back. He's playing heel, while being real and authentic to the fans about what's happening, while playing a character which the fans know and appreciate. So he's big heel and really doing a good job as a heel, but the fans love him no matter what.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I've never seen anything quite like this.
Yeah, it's rare where you can successfully really blur the lines like this
and babyface at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you look at SmackDown on Friday in Memphis again, and The Rock was cheered the whole segment.
Yeah,
right. Like, I mean,
I think he changed what he was going to say because of that. Like he went from, he just complimented them, and it was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it reminds me of Rock versus Hogan in WrestleMania 18, where people forget Rock was supposed to win that, and they changed it mid-match because the crowd was so behind Hogan that Rock was like, "We need to put you over, big fella. We got to get you like." And Hogan, obviously, like that ended up going on as one of the greatest matches of all time. That's when Rock kind of turned Hollywood Rock back in 03.
Yeah.
I think it was 03. The early aughts, we'll say.
It was a minute ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Maybe 02. I can't remember. Anyway, the point is, my math's not what it was. I'm an old man, folks. Yeah, I think it was 2002, actually, because this is Super Bowl 40, so that was 22 years ago. It's 2002. Anyway, it's not Super Bowl 40, WrestleMania 40.
It's early, Ray.
It's very early for me, folks. I'm drinking a ton of coffee. Please bear with me as I make flub after flub. I could run for office. But anyway, but yeah, so basically, it's amazing to see what's happening. The people are behind the Rock, and this is an interesting thing. If you talk to a casual person who's kind of just getting back into wrestling, and if they look at this very surface level, they're rooting for The Rock. Because also, look at Cody Rhodes, right? I watched Raw last night, and Cody Rhodes is walking around the arena with his dog in a black suit with a pocket watch, crying about his mom, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And I'm like, as somebody who's been following this storyline now for years, obviously I know Cody's the face. I do believe Cody is the right direction. I do believe this is the way they should go. But Cody comes off, if you're casual, he comes off as the heel. Right. These are heel things that he's doing. But because it's against The Rock and because of all the buildup and The Rock trying to steal his WrestleMania spot, there's a real nebulous, kind of floaty kind of feel to this where, like, depending on the day, depending on what someone's saying, it can flip back and forth in an instant. It's really interesting to see what's going on. And this goes back again to what I said before. Day one, when The Rock came back on January 1st, I thought then they were going to do Rock versus Roman. The problem they had was they had Cody win the Royal Rumble. That's where they had the speed bump, because once Cody won the Royal Rumble, then people were expecting Cody to go to WrestleMania to take on Roman, and they tried to take that away from folks. And it's like, no. You should have had somebody go, if you wanted Rock versus Roman, someone else had to win the Rumble. And that's why they had that 2-week screw up and they had to balance it out. And that's why we're here where we're here. And they've turned lemons into lemonade. Anyway, I'm rambling. What are your thoughts, Lee? What are your thoughts?
No, I just think it's being masterfully done. And again, look, I'll take the more real world aspect and look at it. No one's talking about Vince McMahon. No one's talking about AEW.
Yeah.
I mean, and like, look, I hate to say this, but even like the Paul brothers are drawing attention too, not just because of Logan Paul, but his brother fighting Mike Tyson. I mean, this is all working together.
Yeah.
To bring the WWE back to which I think this is heights it hasn't seen in years right now.
Yeah.
And good on The Rock for understanding, he's not coming out with Under Armour stuff on. He's not coming out with Zoa energy drinks. He's coming out as the Rock from the 90s as a heel. Very much becoming like almost a Nation of Domination type situation again with the bloodline. So it's going to be really interesting to see what transpires here, and how this flows, and his exit, because we've said this before. He kind of, I mean, this could change, but he's got to be out of wrestling kind of in the summer to promote some of the films he has coming up. I cannot imagine Disney is going to allow him to be a heel to promote Moana 2 and some of the other things he has coming. Again, I could be very wrong on that. And a lot of it comes down to where he wants to spend the next 10 years of his life, right? If he wants to get back in the movies, he's got to get out of wrestling at some point. I'm interested to see him wrestle because we haven't seen that. He actually, to my knowledge, he hasn't really had a match, right?
Yeah.
So he's probably training, but this is exciting time for WWE. I mean, I'm paying attention. And then off the TV, I mean, he's doing promos on his Instagram as The Rock.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're R-rated too, which is kind of fun.
Yes, which is funny enough been rubbing some folks in WWE the wrong way, because usually WWE wouldn't allow that. But again, you mentioned the Vince McMahon thing. Triple H is in charge now.
Yeah.
It's a different story.
Different way. And his promos are fantastic. They're long. Yeah. And he's doing them without crowd noise, which is even cooler to me. Like, it's like you feel it. So I'm interested to see where this goes. And again, it's not just this massive storyline. Like the Rhea Ripley storyline against the Man is really getting good. I mean, they're just doing a good job. They're doing a great job.
All the storylines are really coming together.
Finally,
in a great way. Absolutely. The only thing that I was kind of surprised by is they're doing Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship against Gunther. But I think that's a good one. That's a good one. If it wasn't going to be Chad Gable, which I'm curious what they're going to, I think they're going to turn Gable heel now. Yeah. I think because like he's kind of like starting to like get chippy at Sammy after he couldn't win. I feel like because Sammy is a face. If he could beat Gunther at WrestleMania, and then that means that, again, like I said earlier, Gunther then gets inserted into the main title picture. If you turn Gable heel, you could have Gable and Zayn then feud for the IC title going forward. So I could see that could work. I personally would have, I like that because Sammy works better as a face. Gable has proven he can be a face or a heel and I think that's gonna work. By the way, WrestleMania 18 was 2002, and it was The Rock over.
You were a sophomore. I was a senior. I was a senior in 2002.
So I was a junior in high school.
Oh yeah, you're a year behind me. What am I talking about?
Yeah, I was a junior. Yeah.
You said you were 38 before, and I lost track of time because I am not in my 30s.
Yes. No, I'll be 39 next month. So there we go. So actually a couple of weeks. Oh God. But anyway, and obviously The Rock beat Hogan. I meant that Rock and Hogan they did a double turn. Rock turned heel, Hogan turned face because of the crowd reaction there. So again, just
you win either way.
Yeah, no. So it was a classic. And it's just interesting to see what's going on with WWE. And by the way, speaking of the Triple H regime, Triple H now allowing WWE wrestlers to do indie shows. which never was allowed before. Shayna Baszler, who of course is part of the WWE Women's Division, is going to do an indie show the week before WrestleMania for a smaller promotion called GCW, who are based out of Jersey. And honestly, again, it just kind of shows that Triple H just has his finger on the pulse of what's going on in wrestling in general. And if this makes his people happy, again, his one rule is he's like, just don't get hurt.
Right.
Just don't get hurt. Like, if you get hurt the week of WrestleMania, that's really stupid, right? But
yeah,
like,
it's really bad.
Yeah, but he's letting people go. He's letting people spread their wings. He's not him and the rest of the board are like, you want to make an R-rated promo on Instagram? Go for it. You wanna wrestle an indie show? Go for it. It's like, but just protect the brand, and protect yourselves.
Right.
No. But yeah, so WWE. So there we go. So that's our sports section.
Well, WWE is always our segue into the geek section.
Into the geek stuff. Again, a light geek section this week again because we got Ghostbusters.
But a powerful one. It's light but good.
It's
my wheelhouse, buddy.
Yes. Big news yesterday broke him, and probably in the next couple of days we'll have a trailer for this.
It's already out. It's already out. It came out while we were recording. I watched it in silence with the subtitles, so I have a clue.
Okay. Well, then you can tell us. We know that it's coming out starting June 4th.
Yes.
It takes place during the High Republic era.
It takes place 100 years before the Phantom Menace.
Star Wars Acolyte. We got an amazing looking poster yesterday. Lee said the trailer dropped while we were recording.
I watched it, and I'll tell you why I'm excited about it with no sound.
Tell us about Star Wars Acolyte.
So, again, this show takes place 100 years before the Phantom Menace during the High Republic, or I should say the height of the Jedi powers that be. And a mysterious negative force is affecting the Jedi. And the trailer started, Ray, with the children in the Jedi Temple. And by the way, the Jedi and the Jedi Temple hearken heavily to the Phantom Menace. I mean, it looks like you're in the Phantom Menace with different characters, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And they're there and they're training the younglings. And they go, what do you see? And one of the younglings goes, life. And the other younglings start going, I see fire. I see fire too. And it just starts to cut away. And basically, it looks like the Jedi are investigating a dark force. And at the end of the trailer, you see a red lightsaber light up. You don't see who it is, and it kind of ends. So what I'm guessing the show about is potentially the rise of Sifo-Dyas or the previous Sith Lord prior to Palpatine.
I was going to say Sidious's
my guess.
Master, right?
Right. Well, so here's the deal. There's several books about it. Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Which I've read Darth Plagueis, an interesting book. It would be cool if that was it or someone with him. So just to give some context on this, Ray, Darth Bane created the Rule of Two 1,000 years before the Phantom Menace, or 1,000 years before A New Hope.
Right.
And once Darth Bane created the Rule of Two, the Jedi believed the Sith were destroyed and gone. And so they existed 1,000 years. Master, apprentice, master, apprentice, master, apprentice. So 100 years before the Phantom Menace, I would love it if this show was the rise of Darth Plagueis, leading towards eventually, potentially, Palpatine, right?
Yeah.
But that looks like what it's about. It's the Jedi. Everything is wonderful. All is fun. All is wise. They're going to have a Wookiee Jedi in the show, which is going to be very exciting. Yeah. I'd be shocked if we didn't see Yoda.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to this. The trailer looks really, really good. So I'm excited for Star Wars Acolyte. I've been excited for this one for a while. The poster, as you said, is a lightsaber with a blood trail, a red blood trail. So I think it's going to be the first hints that the Sith exist.
Yeah.
Right within this time period. And again, the trailer, when you watch it, right, you can say, man, this is the Phantom Menace. Like, this is Phantom Menace everything. But it's going to be a modern story. So I'm really excited for the Acolyte.
Yeah, I think I'm excited for it as well. That comes out June. So again, Disney Plus with banger after banger, because that'll be a couple of weeks after X-Men ends.
Yep.
That ends mid-May. So and then I don't know do we know how many episodes Acolyte is?
Well, they're going to release the first two together. I can look this up if you can buy me a second.
Absolutely, because I was just going to say, because then of course, then we'll have Star Wars, then we'll have Deadpool and Wolverine in July.
That's going to be huge. Got a lot of geek stuff coming.
Yes, it is good. It is a good. We said it at the beginning of the year. It's a good year for geek stuff. Again, March very busy. Again, this is a blip on the radar. This is a blip before we have a big geek show in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So it looks like the Acolyte will be 8 episodes. So
Okay.
very quickly here, we're going to have Ghostbusters, X-Men, Star Wars. Star Wars season is upon us, Ray.
Yes.
And I'm very excited about, because I love Star Wars.
Yes.
I won't ask you about Ahsoka today, but I will bring it up just to make you feel bad. Yeah, Star Wars Acolyte coming out 8 episodes. It's gonna be what, 6 weeks, 7 weeks of.
I was gonna say
fun.
6 to 7 weeks. Maybe maybe they'll do a double episode at the end, but who knows? But like, yeah, if they're releasing the first 2 for sure, then be at least 7 weeks for an 8 episode.
I'm looking forward to it. And again, look, this was a short show today. We're gonna have a fun mashup here in a little bit.
Yes.
For you when that comes out this weekend. But yeah, we'll be off for a week. We'll be back with a whole spoiler episode.
Yeah.
For Ghostbusters and some X-Men, obviously, of where that story. We might be not mid-story, but early on in the story at that point.
We'll be at least 3 episodes in at that point. Yeah.
And I'm really excited about it, Ray, just because it's so clear this is a continuation of 1997, which is when that show ended. So I hope this works, because it might actually mean a return to kind of the cartoons from our youth. And the coolest part, Ray, just to end the show, is my son came up to me the other day. He's like, I'm really looking forward to watching that with you. I thought that was really cool. So that's going to be fun.
That's
dum,
awesome.
dum, 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 dum. Okay.
Do we know if those episodes are dropping at midnight?
I won't know. My guess is perhaps, I've noticed a lot of the streaming services have been a little looser on the exact minute release. I was watching Masters of the Air on Apple Plus, which I love World War II stuff. As you know, it's not really fits into the Geeks Who Like Sports model, but those shows were coming out like 10 o'clock, like the night before. I mean, they're just kind of releasing them, and I'm kind of happy. Like, we don't need to do stuff at midnight. Like, if it's ready, put it out. You know what I mean? Like, why do I gotta wait till midnight?
Games Radar does say it will drop at midnight Pacific time tonight, which means tonight we all know what Ray's gonna be doing at 12:01 a.m.
Okay, I hope Caitlin's in her office, our producer, on another show that she's producing at the same time. I hope they heard that and she doesn't know what to do. You can close it out, my friend.
Yes. So again, we appreciate everybody hanging out with us today. Again, we're back in 2 weeks. Back in 2 weeks' time. But as always, we thank you for your support. Thank you to our non-sponsor, Kodiak. Thank you to our other non-sponsor, Duncan, as always. We really appreciate it.
Duncan.
But yeah, until next time, be sure to tune into the mashup. Lee, have a great time on vacation.
Thank you, my friend.
Back in 2 weeks with a huge spoiler cast. Until then, though, that's Lee. I'm Ray. This has been Geeks Who Like Sports.